But pretty powerful moment at the start of the NASCAR race today at Talladega. Talladega was supposed to be yesterday, 5,000 people plus like 44 mobile homes in attendance. There was a rain delay, and then it was postponed because of rain. And when Bubba Wallace, who's a black driver, got back to his garage, somebody found a noose. And I don't think I have to tell you this, but as offensive as a Confederate flag is, right? Like, Confederate flag is, without any question, offensive. And if it's not offensive to you, you should ask somebody else, because you're pretty obviously not seeing the world through the lens of just about everybody else, right? I mean, look, I don't know where it ranks in offensive flags in terms of the German double swastika, but whatever, dude. Do yourself a favor, and if you can't figure out why it's offensive, again, do a little reading, ask somebody, and they'll let you know. A noose that's a hate crime. You're going to jail. And not only are you a dope if you think that is like threatening somebody or is a good idea or whatever, but when you only have 5,000 people in attendance and cameras everywhere, they're going to catch whoever did this. I struggle to understand that we live in a world in which somebody would think that was a good idea, right? Or you dislike another race so much you would do that. I don't know. Some synapses aren't quite firing. Anyway, it was a good look from NASCAR. As bad a look as the airplane flying a Confederate flag over the race yesterday was, as bad a look as the noose in the garage is, it was a really good look today, the solidarity shown by fellow drivers. That said, there's so much damage done with NASCAR, right? So much damage done. Crazy. So Dak Prescott apparently has signed his franchise tender. Now, what this means is if they don't get a deal done by July 15th, a long-term contract extension, then he'll play under the franchise tender, and he'll make $32 million just from the Cowboys alone, guaranteed for this year. Injury, no injury, doesn't matter. If I'm the Cowboys and I don't get a deal done, I sit there and go, hey, finally, Jerry Jones stuck to his guns. Now, there is the possibility that this puts a lot of pressure on the Cowboys because some in the Cowboys believe that there's a chance that they could deal for Jamal Adams, and the ability to deal for Jamal Adams, who would require a contract extension, would mean that you'd first have to negotiate Dak's long-term contract before you'd negotiate a trade for Jamal Adams. That said, I think this is the challenge to the Dallas Cowboys. Will Jerry Jones stick to his guns and say, look, we don't want to go to the 40s. We want to stay in the low 30s. We want to go to a fifth year, not just 4 years. Why does that matter? Because Dak wants to be back out in the market again and cash in again. And he has every right to want that. And the Cowboys have every right to go like, yeah, you know what? We'd actually prefer that extra tacked on year. Why? Because we said so. If we're willing to pay you somewhere in the neighborhood of $120 million for 4 years, then you know what? If we want right of first refusal for one additional year, we're going to take it. We're going to take it. And what I don't want to hear, what no one really wants to hear, is any idea that they disrespected Dak Prescott by not giving in to his desires to be the highest paid quarterback, to surpass Carson Wentz to have a 4-year deal so he could be back out in the market. Because the truth is that Dak does not actually have the leverage. He doesn't. There is absolutely the only reason that the Dallas Cowboys would give in and want a long-term contract extension is that they wanted to free up some money to pay some other players. Because his money will count dollar for dollar when he's on a franchise tag against the cap. But unless they're going after Jamal Adams, and even if they go after Jamal Adams, the truth is he only makes $3 million and change this year. There's a way to creative math so they don't have to do that, but whatever. Like the Dallas Cowboys have already signed everybody else. Amari Cooper signed. Jalen Smith is signed. The offensive line is all signed. Ezekiel Elliott's signed. Blake Jarwin, their tight end, signed. Long-term extension. While this normally would put pressure on a team to free up money, the Cowboys' money is pretty much all accounted for. Could they use some help on defense? Absolutely. But they don't have to. They don't have to do anything. They can stick their heels in the ground and say, we're not budging. This is our bottom line. If not, look, play under the franchise tag. And if we can't come to a deal next year, you play on the franchise tag again, and you've made $65 million guaranteed over 2 years. No one would bat an eye over that. So the challenge for the Dallas Cowboys is to not repeat history and give in to contract demands. They've never done that, but until July 15th, they have the ability to do that. But whatever you do, please don't say it's disrespectful. You offer a guy somewhere in the $130 to $150 million with over $100 million guaranteed for 4 to 5 years, paying him in the top 10 salaries in the sport when you didn't beat a winning team last year. That is the opposite of disrespect. That's saying, hey, those things that went wrong, none of them are your fault. That's what it's saying. So I like Dak Prescott. I don't think he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. I do think there's a value to having a guy who you've had matriculate through your system, not so much so that I'm willing to break the bank. And I like that this is why the franchise tag exists. It works for the players because they get an ungodly absorbent amount of money, and they could be back doing this exact same dance next year. For some reason, we've decided that the franchise tag is a bad thing. Why? Because you listen to the players and their agents. That's what you do. It is not a bad thing. It is not a great thing. Hey, what it does is it protects the teams so that they're not constantly dealing with young players who get done with their or players that get done with their contracts that want to become free agents. They don't want what the NBA has become. That's not good for their business. And the reward to players for staying put, even if they can't find middle ground for their contract, is to be paid guaranteed for 1 year at the average of the top 5 salaries at their position. And then you can do it again next year, and you can do it again the year after that. And the third year, it's actually like X plus 1. There's actually even more money. You have to have a transitional tag. You can tell me this doesn't work out well for the players. I give you Kirk Cousins, who had 2 franchise tags he played under and then signed a huge deal, $86 million guaranteed. Sum total, he made about $120 million over 5 years. At the time, that was among the top salaries in the entire sport. And as good as Kirk Cousins has become, despite being a 4th-round draft pick, he is not one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the sport. He is not one of the top 5 players in the sport. He used the system, played it out, and was rewarded, and then got a contract extension this year. So you're not going to find me as somebody to go, oh, I feel so bad for you. You got a guaranteed contract for a year at 30. Disrespected. He wasn't disrespected. They offered him a 5-year contract. He wants 4. All right. That's called a negotiation. We want you so much. We want you under contract longer, not shorter. That's disrespectful. That's not disrespectful. That's negotiating. That's negotiating for everybody as well as you.